In Flanders Fields, Major John McCrae, May 1915, the Second Battle of Ypres. In Flanders Fields the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place. And in the sky, the larks, still bravely singing, fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago, we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you, from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who died, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields. It was that poem by Major John McCrae that was the inspiration for Poppy Day. John McCrae was 41 upon the outbreak of the First World War. He was a poet and a doctor and a veteran of the Second South African War. He did not need to join up. A Canadian though, and a patriot. He volunteered as soon as the war was declared for the Canadian Expeditionary Force that would soon leave Canada to fight with the British, West Indians, West Africans, South Africans, East Africans, Indian Army, people from across the world coming to support Britain. John McCrae could have joined the Medical Corps, but instead he was determined to serve in the artillery as both an officer and as a doctor. He fought at the Second Battle of Ypres, known by the Tommies as Wipers, in Flanders, southern Belgium, straddling across the French border into parts of northeastern France. It was during that battle that the Germans launched their first chemical attacks. Lethal chlorine gas devastated two whole divisions of the French and Algerian forces, devastated the Canadians. And on the 2nd of May, 1915, Lieutenant Alex Hamill, the friend of Major McCrae, was blown to pieces by a shell outburst. The chaplain was away, and so Major McCrae took the service. Amidst makeshift graves with simple wooden crosses in what would become known as the Essex Farm British Cemetery. And there in between the bursts of shells, the larks did sing. And in between those makeshift graves, poppies were blooming that May Day in 1915. Major McCrae was later promoted to colonel, but towards the summer of 1917, probably affected by the gas he'd inhaled at the Second Battle of Ypres, he contracted asthma and bronchitis badly, soon after followed by pneumonia. And he died in January 1918, buried with full military honours just north of Boulogne. His poem, In Flanders Fields, was written either on the night of the burial of his friend or the next morning. There are many stories about what happened to it. Suffice to say that eventually it was published anonymously in Punch magazine later that year, but his name soon became known. And Major McCrae's legacy was not only one of service and sacrifice, it was also a legacy that he did not know about. A legacy of leaving us his poem, which inspired the poppy lady from France, Madame Anna Guérin, to bring together the French widows and orphans from the distressed areas of France with what had just been formed in 1921, the British Legion. She came to Britain. She was determined that there should be a great national event to raise funds for ex-servicemen who were distressed. She met Earl Haig, and he announced the Poppy Day. the first Poppy Day. In Birmingham, a committee was quickly set up. On the 7th of November, an advertisement appeared in local newspapers calling out that Poppy Day, Armistice Day, would be a day when collectors would be on the streets, raising funds through selling the poppies made by French widows and orphans, and also the poems made in Birmingham and elsewhere. It was a great success. Nearly £2,700 was raised. That was a huge sum. Bear in mind, a skilled man would be lucky to earn £3 a week. It went to an ex-servicemen's canteen and to help those ex-servicemen, those many ex-servicemen locally who were struggling. It's the centenary of that Poppy Day. And we need to remember some of the words that were used at the time to make sure that people did not forget the importance of honouring those who had made the ultimate sacrifice. This is from the advert in the Birmingham Mail. Wear a red poppy in remembrance of the fallen. Help to relieve the distress. Really important that we remember that today on the centenary. And important too, for those of you that have never been there, perhaps today, after this occasion, in which we honour the fallen and launch the Poppy Day in Birmingham at Westside, to visit our Hall of Memory. It's alongside us here. 2 years after the first Poppy Day, His Royal Highness Edward the Prince of Wales made his first visit to Birmingham. Tens of thousands cheered him along the streets. His main purpose was to talk and visit ex-servicemen, those who had lost their limbs, those who were working at a factory to retrain them, holders of the VC. And then he laid the first foundation stone at our Hall of Memory with an ivory mallet and a silver trowel made at the Birmingham Central School of Art. And in 1925, huge crowds gathered outside the Hall of Memory when it was opened by His Royal Highness the Duke of Connacht. That Hall of Memory is made of Portland stone. There is a single opening at the top through which the sun can shine upon a magnificently inscribed book of remembrance, again from the Central School of Art. There are 4 characters carved outside, one to represent the Army, one to represent the Navy, one to represent the fledgling RAF, and most importantly, one to represent the women. And that was most apposite, because this city, as did elsewhere, answered the call. Hundreds of thousands of women worked in the munitions factories. 150,000 men volunteered to serve. Over 12,000 died. More than 35,000 were maimed physically. How many more were affected mentally? Inside, there are 3 bas-reliefs, one the call to arms, one the front line, and one is to all those who fell. That Hall of Memory was erected to the glory of God and in memory of the men and women of this city who fell in the Great War. The final bas-relief states simply, yet movingly, see to it that they shall not have suffered and died in vain, lest we forget.